The guy who ran on change is now like, hey, re-elect me because I couldn't get things done, but I had a really good excuse. It turns out there's another party. All right. There's a second part of this where he praises Lincoln for not freeing the slaves.
You think about our greatest presidents. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, here's a guy who didn't believe in slavery, but his first priority was keeping the Union, and I've got the Emancipation Proclamation hanging up in my office. And if you read through it, turns out that most of the document is those states and areas where the emancipation doesn't apply because those folks are allied with the Union, so they can keep their slaves. Think about that. That's the Emancipation Proclamation, right? So here you've got a wartime president who's making a compromise around probably the greatest moral issue that the country ever faced, because he understood that right now my job is to win the war and to to maintain the Union. Well, can you imagine how sort of the Huffington Post would have reported on that? Right? I mean, it would have been blistering, right? I mean, think about it. Lincoln sells out slaves, right? There'd be protests, and we're going to run a third-party guy.
Again, so incredibly sad. First of all, I've used the Lincoln example before for the same exact reason, saying, hey, you know what? Sometimes you don't get everything you want immediately. And I have used that even with Obama early on, saying, hey, maybe we're going to get to Lincoln eventually. Because in the beginning, Lincoln did not want to free all the slaves, or at least that's what he stated, right, for political reasons. And I understand the calculus behind that. But I frame it as, isn't that so unfortunate? But I get it, right? And sometimes you get there a little bit slower than you would hope. Obama frames it as, isn't it wonderful? Like, well, of course Lincoln was right not freeing the slaves, even in the Emancipation Proclamation, right? And I'm modeling myself after that. And then again, another shot at Huffington Post, like, Huffington Post would have said he didn't free the slaves. But that's because he didn't free the slaves in the Allied territories. They would be accurate in framing it that way, right? And by the way, I don't know if you know this, President Obama was black, right? And let's say he was, and I don't know if this is un-PC to say, but I mean, it's obvious. You could say it about non-black people too. But let's say he was in an Allied territory and President Lincoln said, well, you're going to continue to remain a slave. Would he be like, well, okay, that's fantastic. I hope Huffington Post doesn't criticize it. Abraham Lincoln is being super reasonable. So I can't understand why they're not understanding why he's being so reasonable by keeping me a slave. Look, you don't have to be black to empathize with that point. If I was held a slave in Allied territory, I wouldn't have loved that portion of the Emancipation Proclamation. You can make a point that it was necessary, but you shouldn't revel in it. You shouldn't say, hey, like, oh, isn't that fantastic? And that's why, like Lincoln, I've been keeping people as slaves. I don't mean it as a direct analogy, but like I have been doing these terrible, horrible concessions, and instead of being slightly embarrassed about that, but saying, hey, that's the situation at hand, I'm bragging about it. I wouldn't brag about it. Jayar, did you want to?
I don't know, man. The Union isn't falling apart. He's not saving the Union. It's not,
yeah, that's a great point, man.
It's not that big of a deal. And actually, if it wasn't for that, I could use that same analogy with President Lincoln. And be like, you know what? Even President Lincoln made mistakes. But you know what? Maybe because of his thought process was focusing on keeping the Union together. Because in reality, he didn't do what we praise him for and what we say is the reason he's one of the greatest presidents. Maybe you could be like, maybe you guys didn't know this. That president wasn't perfect. I mean, you could go any way with how things happen because of the nuances of things. But you can't learn the lesson that, oh, he didn't free slaves. How great is that? It's horrible. And number two, I remember after George W. Bush won his first election, which was the second one, that there was mandate. You know we can do whatever we want, and they're walking around like they're high stepping. And they had the reason behind it. Being, we have control of everything. The American people said, fuck what Democrats say. Why is that not the same? Now the lesson is when Democrats in power, what we have to know is that if you're in the majority, minority, or no matter what, you don't get what you want. What happened to a mandate? When it's not you, it's not a mandate.